The Giants get their guy. Tony Vitello is hired. It feels like it was a long time coming, but really it was less than a week. We will discuss what this means for the G-Men, what comes next for Tony Vitello, his background, and expectations heading into season 1 of this unprecedented hire from Buster Posey. That's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. My name is Alan Stiles. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. A lot of fun today, by the way. I'm from the Bay Area, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140, the Alan Stiles Show, as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. The Giants get their guy. The Giants get their guy. Well, technically, it was their second guy, but we'll get into all that. We're going to discuss the unprecedented hire. We'll also talk about Tony Vitello's background, what he's going to bring to the major leagues, and what is next as far as expectations for the San Francisco Giants. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So they did it. They actually did it. Buster Posey actually did it. Zach Manassian actually did it. Ownership actually did it. They took the home run grand slam swing. Now, they took the swing. We still don't know if they have connected or not. That remains to be seen, and we will know much more after this season and in the seasons to come. But Tony Vitello, somebody that I have followed, like I told y'all, I don't know if anyone is more equipped to handle this in the San Francisco Bay, Northern California area than me, because as an ex-college baseball player, I watch a lot of college baseball, and I've been a fan of Tennessee baseball for as long as Tony Vitello has been doing it. And they've knocked on the door time and time again. They got that World Series, and he has turned himself into a larger-than-life person out there in Knoxville, and he turned it all down, and he left it all to challenge himself and to see if he can do this at the next level, a level where he hasn't played, a level where he has not coached, a level that he is not that familiar with. And I want to give kudos to him for taking a chance. It's not easy to take a chance in life, especially when you're comfortable, especially when you're getting paid essentially the same amount of money to be comfortable. We'll get into that as well. And from Buster Posey's side of things, I did not see this coming. I have looped Buster Posey and Madison Bumgarner into the same group where Madison Bumgarner is mad at Yasiel Puig bat flipping and things like that. And Buster Posey, I put him in the same category. This is something I did not see coming. And as far as the timeline, how we got here, I'm be honest with you. A big shout out to Locked On Vols, Eric Kane. So Eric Kane, he does a great job for the Locked On Network. Eric Kane, he reached out to me and he said, Alan, there might be something going on here. He asked me what my thought was on it. And at the time, I thought it was just a rumor. I thought it was just something where it went viral on social media, as things tend to do nowadays. And at that time, Eric wasn't sure either, but he said, no, he was the first person from that area to tell me, no, there's actually rumblings out here. Andrew Baggerly, of course, initially got it and said, hey, there might be something that you guys need to keep in your back pocket or on the back burner here. And when Nick Hundley decided to pull out, I think it became abundantly clear that Buster Posey was not messing around. And more importantly, Buster Posey wanted something new. Nick Hundley hadn't been a manager before. Kurt Suzuki hadn't been a manager before. Buster wanted something new. Now, did anybody think he was going to go this far out the box? I know I didn't, but I want to give Buster kudos to that, because if he's going to go down, he's going to go down swinging. And he's not going to be swinging for a single, not even double or triple. Buster wants the whole thing. And that's what Tony Vitello can be. If this works, this will open a brand new pipeline that we have never seen before. It is unprecedented. This has never happened. This has never happened. The only time it has happened is in situations where the coach has already or the manager has already been associated with a major league ball club and ended up coming back in some capacity. Nobody when it's just their first time ever, no prior experience in Major League Baseball. So that's just what it is, man. That's just what it is. And I'm getting everything for you guys. This is going to be all the different information. I've kind of pulled it together for you. This was from Peter Thamel. This was this morning at 10 o'clock. Tennessee baseball coach Tony Vitello is finalizing a deal to become the next manager of the San Francisco Giants. Sources tell him and Jeff Passan. He's 47. He will be the first ever to jump from college coach to Major League Baseball without any professional experience. And let me know in the comments. Maybe some of you are worried about this. Right? Obviously, Buster thought this was the right move. Maybe you don't. Maybe, I don't know, Alan. Let's see what happens. So let me know, and we'll discuss, because there is plenty to talk about, specifically when it comes to the money side of things as well. Like I said, unprecedented. He will make around $3.5 million annually, a 3-year deal with the 4th year, and that 4th year could be big for him if he's still hanging around, and hopefully he's doing more than hanging around. Hopefully it's very obvious that he's going to get the option, not like the Bob Melvin situation. It shows that Buster, he's tired of messing around, man. And you ever been in a situation, it almost reminds me a little bit, as we were joking about gambling with FanDuel, it almost reminds me of if you ever find yourself in Vegas, right? And let's say you're in Vegas for, a week is a long time, but let's say you're in Vegas for 3 nights, right? So you want to make sure that unless you hit big, you want to make sure that you have money, right, to last the whole trip. When you get to that 3rd night, it's time to have some fun. And you've already set aside this money. Hopefully you win. But if you don't, that's all fine and good. You've already set aside this money. Let's see if we can walk home with something. Let's see if we can walk home with a big fish story. Going home with 100 here, a couple hundred there. What good is that? Right? Going home with, hey, we lost in the wild card. We scraped into the wild card because the Mets are awful and they don't know how to take care of their business with all the money they're spending. Hey, we were able to sneak into the 3rd wild card. No. Why don't we go out there, go out swinging? All right, maybe you select black on roulette and red hits, but maybe, just maybe, black hits. And you get to go home to whoever it is to say, you'll never guess what happened. We got all this money. We won all this money in Vegas. That's what Buster Posey is attempting to do here. Buster Posey is attempting to say, I'm all in at this point. And it hasn't even been that long with Buster. But Buster says, I'm not really here to mess around. For a while, we didn't even know if Buster was going to be a part of this industry. And we know that Buster is somebody that wants success at a high level, and he doesn't want to wait around either. And that's exactly what we have. So the timeline of events, like I joked with you earlier this week, I'm at the pumpkin patch. I get a text from Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds, who does a great job for us organizing everything. He says, do you see this? He just says, college. The Giants are going to college. What are you talking about? I'm driving. So I park, find out what's going on. Wow, this is really happening. I had recently talked to Eric Kane. It's starting to come together. Then things got sketchy. Yesterday, I did not feel good. I did not feel good at all yesterday. It was 72 hours. It had passed. He was at practice, looked like everything was good. I felt like, how much do you have to sell the San Francisco Giants? Right? Turns out that Tony Vitello, there were some things he wanted to take care of. There were some logistical issues. He wanted to make sure everything was good. The Tennessee fan base, they all went out to the ballpark and tried to convince him to stay. So maybe I undersold how tough this was going to be for Tony Vitello. And I also think that this leaked a little bit early, and we were probably a day off. So that 72 hours, that should have ended today. And we didn't have to wait much longer after that. It breaks this morning, and here we are. What a time to be alive. All right, let's keep it moving. We got to get to a quick one. And on the other side, let's discuss Tony Vitello's background and some of the major league talent that he's at least handled, maybe not managed, but at least handled during his tenure as a coach in the college ranks. More Locked On Giants coming up. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It has helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet because I hate those. I love that I can review everything with my partner, see our shared goals, and make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual boards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon for a rushing touchdown, and you're in the game. What I love about Prize Picks, I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute, but my favorite part, Prize Picks just added stacks. So if I want to ride with a player, I can see their pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. It's also fun to follow other players in the app and copy their lineups with just one click. The new injury reboot is crucial, especially with NBA starting. You never know who's going to play. If your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. So there are a lot of different ways to enjoy Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So what I have for you, I just have the breakdown of Tony Vitello, his coaching career. He was with the Tennessee Volunteers. That started in 2018, and he turned them into a national power. His record, 341 and 131. That was his record at Tennessee. 3 College World Series appearances, and then that 2024 national championship. This is what he did prior to. He was in 2003 to 2010. He was an assistant at Missouri. 2011 to 2013, he was at TCU. 2014 to 2017 with Arkansas, all assistant coaches there. Then, like I said, 2018 started his tenure at Tennessee, where he turned things around quickly. And as I mentioned, I mean, these are all big schools, right? And during his time, he ran into one, Max Scherzer. And Max Scherzer had a lot of great things to say about Tony Vitello. Quote, it's the competitiveness, it's the fire, it's the intensity, and it's the communication skills. He makes it so relatable. He's such a player's guy. He makes you want to run through a brick wall for him. He was perfect for me when I was in college. He helped even to foster my mentality and add to it, really helped bring it out of me. Mizzou was my ground zero where I really took off, and his fingerprints are all over that. So I absolutely believe in him. He's to this day one of my closest friends, and I absolutely believe he's going to get it done at the big league level. Max Scherzer a free agent? I just thought about that. Well, we'll put that on the back burner as well. Quote, he's going to get players to buy in. I know there's going to be this narrative that he doesn't have any pro ball experience, but his ability to relate to players and his fire and passion for the game is going to resonate with everybody within that clubhouse. So I just don't see it as an issue. That is from, dare I say, future Hall of Famer Max Scherzer. Okay, Max Scherzer, who worked with Tony Vitello at Missouri, and he said, look, I am who I am because of Tony Vitello. And I think Max Scherzer is saying, look, he might not have the specific experience. You ever apply to a job, right? And you might not have the exact experience, but your experience is parallel to that. It's comparable to that. That's what I think a lot of us are feeling, not necessarily me specifically, but that's what we're feeling the vibe is when it comes to Tony Vitello. Hey, does he have the specific experience? No, we spoke about Steve Kerr earlier this week. We've talked about times it has worked. We talked about times that it hasn't worked. You got Steve Kerr, then you got Steve Nash, right? There are a lot of different situations, but this is something that we have not seen before. I'm very excited to just see how it all unfolds. At least we have something new and fresh to talk about. As far as the strengths that appeal to the Giants, player development, high energy, leadership, the ability to recruit and motivate, culture building. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? Well, recruiting, Alan, this isn't college. This isn't college. This isn't NIL. This isn't the NCAA. And you're right. But at the same time, you still have to be in those conversations. And when you have a Buster Posey who has his rings he can just put on the table, then you have a Tony Vitello who might be one of the most personal people, okay, in the baseball world that everybody loves. He's a known winner. He's got an infectious personality. That helps when you're trying to get free agents. That is a big deal. That can be a huge deal. So even though he might not have that experience and it's not the same type of recruiting as you see in college, people will want to play for him. Now, obviously, the Giants got to get off to a hot start. But right now, as Buster has finished this part of the offseason and done it fairly quickly, now he can focus on, all right, once the World Series is over, hopefully the Dodgers lose, the Smurfs lose to the Blue Jays. Oh, Canada, we can eat some poutine after that. And let's figure out what to do. I saw people were worried about the Drew Gilbert thing. And we can look at some of this as pitfalls as far as, is Drew Gilbert going to get preferential treatment? If that's the case, Tony Vitello is not going to work out. Let's just be honest right now. Drew Gilbert is in a position where he is fighting for right field. Buster Posey might still say, I'm paying for a right fielder anyway, Drew. You're going to be a defensive replacement. That's it. And if they move on from Drew Gilbert, who's one of Tony Vitello's favorite players, you got 3 more in the system. You have 3 more Tennessee players in the system that we've talked about, all right, with Gavin Keelan, with Maui Ahuna, and, of course, Blade Tidwell. So they're everywhere, and there's probably going to be more this upcoming draft because they'll still technically be Tony Vitello's guys. So that's where it is. I know from the Tennessee standpoint, might be a little bit, it's always going to feel like bad timing with these things, but you're not going to hire somebody. The problem is it's timing, right? So the summer, when obviously college baseball is doing absolutely nothing, the summer, Major League Baseball is still going on. So the season ended for baseball, for Major League Baseball. They're just getting started with fall ball. You got scrimmages, you got things like that, but he didn't leave them in the spring. Okay, they have enough time, and based on what I was reading, there are a couple guys that they feel good about moving forward with. So Tennessee, I think, will be okay. They're not going to have Tony Vitello, but I do believe that they'll be fine. So that's a little bit about his background. Guys like Max Scherzer are speaking glowingly of Tony Vitello, and as you can tell, I'm pretty juiced, man. Simply because I have no clue if it's going to work or not. It could end terribly. Buster could end up getting canned. That is a huge possibility, but at least you're going down. At least you got into the batter's box and took a swing. How upset were we? I'm not going to name names, but how upset were we this past season watching players look at called strikes, right? When you don't even take a swing. Buster Posey, win or lose, succeed or fail, we will be able to say Buster took a swing. And if he was going to fail, he did not want to do it at the hands of, for lack of a better term, a recycled manager, somebody that was on the coaching carousel. I don't even know if he interviewed anybody that had managing experience. I think off the top of my head, Brandon Hyde or somebody like that. But there weren't a lot. That's not what Buster wanted to do because he felt like this is what the team needed. Is Buster going to be right or wrong? Only time will tell. But I give him all the credit in the world for having the you-know-what to take this chance. On the other side, let's discuss the giant expectations that they may have for one Tony Vitello. What's fair and unfair? Can you even say fair in sports? More Locked On Giants coming up. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 of bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What I love about FanDuel, I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. Or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it a great way to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms or no in-person appointments. Might run into somebody, anything like that. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/lockedonmlb to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonmlb. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnMLB so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. Last but not least, we know the culture that the Giants want: pitching, defense, accountability. We want the younger core to step up. We know all of this. How can Tony Vitello fit that vision? Well, establishing that clubhouse tone, defining roles for veterans, integrating the development pipeline, prospects, things like that into the MLB roster, and finding a way to create and understand what their foundation is going to be and what their identity is going to be. You know, what's funny, though, is because you were only a couple games out of the last wild card, you're coming in. Let's just keep it real here. You're coming in with no prior experience, and I think the expectation is to make the playoffs. You're paying big money to your shortstop. You're paying big money to your third baseman. You're paying big money to your first base DH. The pitchers are the pitchers. You're paying pretty solid money to your center fielder. All right. You have guys that you have committed to. And they're also not spring chickens. Matt Chapman, not a spring chicken. Willie Adames, I mean, he ain't the youngest out there. He's closer to 30 than 20. So these are the things that are real. These are the things that are important. And the reality is he's going to have expectations. Now, is Tony Vitello 3-year deal with the 4th-year option? Tony Vitello going to get fired in the first year? No. I honestly think it would come down. I think getting that third wild card would be great. And that would be an outstanding benchmark. If it doesn't happen, I'd have to see what ended up happening to the roster. That's a huge part of this too, right? We talked about Drew Gilbert at third, in right field. Some people want to keep Schmidt at second. I think one of those positions will be purchased on the free agent market or traded for. They're going to go get another arm, maybe a couple arms. Come on home, Tyler Rogers. So we understand all that. So once I see what they're going to do with Elliot Ramos, I don't know. I know Jung Hoo Lee's going to be in the lineup. Will he be in center? I don't know that either. So once I see the lineup, I feel like the expectations will change to that, specifically the pitching as well. Are you doing the Verlander thing? Are you going to go get a Hunter Green? Are you going to go sell the farm for Tarek Skubal? I need to see that because I do believe that the Giants felt that they could get a first-time manager because they don't have to build this thing from scratch. Go pay for one of the positions. You need to pay for at least one other position. I don't know what they're going to do with Patrick Bailey. Feels like I think they're going to give him at least another year. Jesus Rodriguez is on the way. That all might be organic anyway. We understand what Patrick Bailey does defensively. But if you feel like that's necessary, if you go out and pay for a right fielder and go pay for a second baseman, then Patrick Bailey, obviously he'd still have to be in the lineup. But Patrick Bailey at that point, he's not your issue. And I know it felt like Patrick Bailey was always up when it mattered this past season. But if you go pay for those guys, you can afford to let Patrick Bailey just do exactly what he did this season. The issue is Patrick Bailey finding himself in those moments, and right field was nothing. A second base was something towards the end of the season. Elliot Ramos, his left field season was good. Right? Matt Chapman, guys like that, there just wasn't enough beef to make up for Patrick Bailey. And Patrick Bailey turned it on offensively towards the end of the season. So it's hard for me to make an assessment until, and like I said, we're here Monday through Friday. So once we know what the lineup is, it'll be easier for me to give an assessment. But based on what we're looking at right now, I don't know how upset we can be if they miss the playoffs because they need more pitching and they need another position player. And I know y'all got on me. Some of you got on me. I said this could be a top 12 lineup, or it is right now. Maybe I was drinking the orange and black Kool-Aid a little bit. I thought L.A. Ramos had a good season. Jung-Hoo Lee had a good season. As far as the ceiling is concerned, I think it's possible. But the reality is you need to go get somebody else, right? And Bryce Eldridge, that could be internal. What does he do in his true rookie season? Rafi Devers feeling good about things as well. So you have your core pieces. You probably need one more core piece. And I'm not saying it has to be Kyle Tucker. It could be a pitcher. Like if you go out and get Tarek Skubal, that might be the Giants saying we don't think we need to pay for a Kyle Tucker, right? Maybe we go get a Cody Bellinger. I know a lot of people don't want Cody Bellinger, ex-Smurf. Go get a Cody Bellinger or somebody like that, a tier 2 guy, and we can go from there. We want to spend. We want our rotation to be, by and large, our strength. You could do that too. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard for me to make an assessment without knowing the final roster. Based on this roster, it would be very nice to get to the playoffs. I think if you give somebody a 3-year deal with the 4th-year option, they want this thing to grow. So if you miss the playoffs this season, next season you get to the wild card. The season after that, you go on a run. And I know growth isn't linear. It also isn't linear depending on who you bring in. So it's hard to do this, I would say, but expectations would be to get that 3rd wild card, which is crazy because if the Mets were half of what they were supposed to be, the Mets locked that up. And I do think, going back, and this is the last thing, thank you, Bob Melvin, for your service. This is one of the last things I'll say about Bob Melvin. I think he probably would have been let go anyway. With that being said, the fact that the Reds got in might have been the actual nail in the coffin. If you look at the wild card and you look at, I know the Cubs surprised some people, but the Cubs, the Padres, who have a ridiculous lineup, they went out and bought at the trade deadline. And then you have the Mets with how much they're paying and what their payroll is. I think Bob Melvin probably would have been done, but it would have been looked at a little bit differently. The fact that the Mets imploded and you had that opportunity to sneak into that 3rd wild card and you let the Reds do it, who had no disrespect. My guy Jeff Carr out there, Locked On Reds, no business being in the playoffs. That was how I think if I were to guess, those conversations said, look, it's one thing to miss the playoffs. It's another thing to miss the playoffs when they were right in front of us. If this was a crazy season, we sold at the deadline, the Mets got hot, the Padres never slowed. And the Padres, they imploded too. The Chicago Cubs, they rocked and rolled. That would be different. But you had an opportunity and you missed it. So I think getting into the wild card is the expectation. But if a bunch of teams, and this is based on who, just like I said, who pays what, but if teams just all go on a roll and you see it's going to take dang near 90 games or whatever it is to get the 3rd wild card, then I think, Buster, there will be a little bit more nuance. Because let us not forget, they let go Kapler. A couple years later, they let go Bob Melvin. They don't want to move on from Tony Vitello. They want this to work. And when you want it to work, you tend to look at things based on how they happen and say, you know what, I'm okay with it. So we will see. I am so excited to see what the future holds. Now let's go out there and get a bat. Now let's go out there and get a pitcher. Let's do it. Let's go. Get out here, Buster. All right. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. We appreciate it. Be sure to spread the word because there is plenty to talk about. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every single day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until the World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to follow me on social media at @_Styles with an I, and also follow the Locked On Giants account. Like, subscribe. We appreciate it. There is a lot to get to here as we get ready for what? First pitch? I'm ready to go right now. I got my glove. I got a ball right here. Let's do it. Let's do it right now. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.